Hey friends, let's get moving. Today we're going to be enjoying a little soul food, some foot care, and I'm really excited. I know it's going to feel really good on my body, and I hope it feels good for you too. You will need some equipment today. So the first thing that you're going to need is a ball. This is a racket ball. You can also use a tennis ball or a pinky high bounce ball that you might find at the dollar store. If you happen to have yoga tune-up balls, that's great. I might not recommend using something hard like a softball or a lacrosse ball or a golf ball. Your body is soft, and unless you've already built up some healthy pressure tolerance in your feet, I think those might be a little too hard and counterproductive for what we're going to be doing today. Another thing that you'll need is a block. If you don't have a block, you can use a really thick hardback book, or maybe even a paperback book would be fine too, just as long as it's sturdy. And also a half dome foam roller. If you don't have one of these, you can substitute with a blanket that's rolled up, but these are great. I keep mine in the kitchen, so it's a little dirty on the bottom. I'll try not to show you that. And like I said, a blanket is helpful even if you don't have the foam roller. And the last thing that I have here is a chair. This is pretty optional, and I'll demonstrate how you might use that as we get started. So we're first going to use the ball. We're going to give ourselves a little foot massage. So place the ball down on the ground, and I'm going to start with my left foot. And I'm going to stagger my feet so my left foot is forward and my right foot is back. And I'm going to step onto the ball and rock back to my right foot. So I rock forward into my left foot and rock back into my right foot. Now you can manage balance by holding onto the chair or holding onto a wall. And as you rock forward, you want to let your foot drape over the ball. So your foot is kind of deforming or conforming to the shape of the ball. And as you rock back onto the right foot, that's a chance for you to kind of move your foot or move the ball under your foot so that we're getting at a lot of different places on the sole of the foot. And it's really common for people to want to look down while they're doing this work. And especially, I find if you're trying to balance, a lot of people try to look down when they're doing it. Just try to keep your head up. Maybe you can look out the window, or you can look at me. So now we're going to stop this rocking back and forth. So this was more of a compression. And now we're going to get into more of like a rolling, gliding action with the ball. And instead of going, you're not going to go forward and backward like heels to toes. The direction that you're going to take is going to be kind of side to side. So if my fist is the ball and my left hand here is the foot, then your foot's going to kind of swim side to side over top of the ball. And you can imagine that that's kind of widening or spreading out the tissues on the sole of your foot. So if you want more pressure during this exercise, you're going to lean more of your weight forward. You're going to stand more into your left foot. And if you want less pressure, you're going to stand back into your right foot. Now, this is a really great time for me to show you. You can keep doing that action, but this is a great time for me to show you a modification. So maybe your feet are really sensitive, or maybe balance is really tricky for you and you still don't feel stable enough just by holding onto the chair or the wall. Come and sit in a chair. And this is actually, you can translate this to sitting at your desk at work. Take your shoes off and keep a ball under your desk. So you can also do that here with just that widening, rocking motion over the ball. And you can do that up towards the balls of the feet, or you can move down towards the heel a little bit. Now, I'm going to stand back up to continue showing. You can even come to the heel. So right now I have the balls of my foot on the ground and the massage ball is under my heel. So I'm gonna kind of squash down a little bit with my heel, and then I'm gonna take my heel and slide it side to side off the ball. And if you lose your ball, which I hope I don't, you can run off and get it. If you notice a quick dissolve during this video, it's probably because I lost my ball and I had to run away to get it. So now go ahead and take a moment and just pause. Put both feet on the ground, whether you're standing or seated, and notice if you feel a difference in your feet already. We're not done yet, but that's just a good thing to check in and see, how does this make me feel? So now we're gonna get into a little bit of work with our toes. And so what you'll first do, again, you can do this seated or standing with the support of a chair or the support of the wall. So you're gonna get your big toe on the ball and you're gonna try to get all of your other toes on the ground off the ball. So if you need to manually move those other toes out of the way, please feel free to do that. And so your feet are still staggered. So you're gonna press your big toe into the ball. And if you feel like this isn't a good enough stretch or you want more stretch sensation around your big toe, start to step your right foot forward incrementally until you do feel a good stretch and press down. And you can kind of do this walking motion where you're kind of rocking forward and backward like you would when you're walking, and watch how the stretch sensation in the toe changes as you do that. And go ahead and rock back into your left foot. You can stop pressing through your toe and just let yourself get a little bit of a stretch. And then press again and rock walk. Okay, and now we're gonna step the right foot back if it was forward and release that pressure on the toe. Get your foot off the ball. And now we're gonna go for the second two toes. So your big toe is gonna be on the ground on one side of the ball, and your ring toe and pinky toe are gonna be on the ground on the other side of the ball. It's just gonna be the second and third toe. And again, if you need to manually move your other toes out of the way, go ahead and do so. Okay, this is maybe a little interesting. We don't really put ourselves in this position very much. So if you're feeling a good stretch, great. If you feel like you want a little bit more stretch, slowly step your other foot forward, and then you can push those toes into the ball. Okay. And relax. So these muscles might need a little bit of waking up. So let's contract again, press the toes down into the ball and relax. And now this time I do want you to look down at your toes. As you press your toes into the ball, can you make sure that your toes are staying long and that they're not kind of curling into the ball to press? So check that. Can you keep your big toe and your ring toe and pinky toe relaxed while you only press with the second and third toe? It's kind of hard. And go ahead and relax the pressing. And we're just holding this position, and you can rock a little bit. Pretend like you're going to take a step forward. Okay. And go ahead and step your right foot back. Peel your foot up off the ball. Ooh. And then we're gonna put the last two toes on the ball. So ring toe and pinky toe on the ball. And I have to manually get my other toes out of the way. Okay. So just let yourself feel that for a minute. It's kind of interesting. I think it feels good. Hopefully it doesn't feel weird or, too odd for you. If you want to feel more of a stretch sensation, again, walk your right foot forward bit by bit. Okay, and then we're going to press the 4th and 5th toes down into the ball. And as you do this, see if you can keep the rest of your toes relaxed. And it might just feel like you're moving a millimeter, or you're doing a millimeter's worth of work. And that's fine. It's not a big move. It's a micro move. And relax. And let's add in that rock walk right now. Pretend like you're going to take a step. Notice how the rocking forward and back changes the sensation of the stretch in your toes. Okay, and go ahead and rock back onto your standing foot. And now again, press your 4th and 5th toes into the ball. And this time, look down at your toes. Make sure they're not doing that, like clawing into the ball. Keep them long and strong. Trying to keep the other toes relaxed. Pretty tricky. And relax. Let's rock a little bit more, forward and back. Okay, go ahead and step your right foot to the back. And peel your foot up off the ball. Ooh, okay. Now see how your feet feel differently. Your left foot feels differently than your right foot. I think it feels really good. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So we're going to start with the compression movement. You have the ball under your right foot and your left foot is staggered back. And as you step forward onto the ball, you're going to let your foot drape over the ball and rock back onto your standing foot. And you're just going to rock forward and rock back. And you can move the ball around the sole of the foot as you do that. So your opportunity to move the ball happens when you rock back onto the left foot. Then you can quickly move the ball to a slightly different spot and then continue rocking forward and back. So again, you can be seated if you prefer. If you want less pressure, if you're standing and you want less pressure, just don't step forward as far or don't rock more of your weight into your front foot. Keep a healthy dose of weight in your back foot. Conversely, if you want more pressure, really step on that ball. And we want it to, I kind of hinted on this in the beginning when we were talking about the equipment that you would need. Your body's gonna respond better if your nervous system isn't getting freaked out. So pain can make the nervous system freak out. And think about what you do when you're freaked out. Right? We are trying to help our bodies be more like instead. So you want to use an amount of pressure that feels really manageable and safe for your body. You want your body to feel safe, like it's okay to open up. So now we're going to switch from that compression stroke to the sliding off the ball side to side, kind of like waving your foot. So I have my heel on the ground and the ball of my foot, the sole of my foot is kind of waving. We're doing this. What should we call this? I don't know. This is what my foot's doing, is what my hand is doing. And again, you can do this motion closer up towards the ball of the foot. You can do it closer to the heel. Try getting all over the foot. And of course, if you find a spot that feels interesting, shall we say, feel free to hang out there for a moment. Take a deep breath. And then you can move on. So imagining here with this that we're really widening out the foot, giving your foot a lot more real estate so that you can feel more grounded and stable. And then come to the heel. So you're going to put your right heel on the ball and the ball of your foot and toes on the ground. And if my left hand is the ball, this fist is the ball, you're going to just take your heel and kind of bump it off, thump it off each side from side to side. And again, if you lose your ball, it happens to the best of us. Don't worry. Okay, now you can get off that and notice, are your feet starting to feel a little bit more similar? Let's go ahead and work on the toes. Again, you can be doing this sitting down. Maybe balancing feels better on one foot than another foot. So we're going to start with the big toe. You have your right foot forward and your left foot back, and just your big toe is on the ball. All the other toes are off to the side, and you can manually scoot those toe friends out of the way. So if you feel a good stretch in your big toe, hang out here. If you want to feel a little bit more of a stretch in your big toe, you can start to step your left foot forward gradually, coming into more of a split stance. And then, trying to keep the other toes relaxed, push your big toe into the ball. Push, 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 push. And relax. And then you can rock your rock walk. Pretend like you're walking. And then rock back to your back foot. And then you're going to again push your big toe into the ball. And you can notice, hey, is this easier on this foot? Does it feel more challenging to get in touch with these muscles? Just take notice. Relax that. Rock walk. And then let's gradually step the left foot back. I didn't do that gradually, did I? I just took one big step. Do what I say. So now let's go ahead and do the second and third toes on the ball. So you're gonna have your big toe slunked off to one side and your fourth and fifth toes slunked off to the other side. And again, you can manually make that happen. It just kind of looks funny too if you look down at your foot. We don't see our bodies in this shape, in this position on a regular basis. So it could be interesting. If you feel a good stretch, hang out. If not, you want more, step your other foot forward. And now we're gonna try to push just those two toes into the ball. Can you keep your big toe and your fourth and fifth toe relaxed? Kind of tricky. I want you to know that if your brain kind of feels tired by the end of this video, that's really good. That's a sign that you've worked really hard in establishing and reaffirming new connections between your brain and your muscles. So go ahead and relax that push with the toes and do your rock walk. And then come back to center. And again, push your two toes into the ball. And you can look down this time too to make sure that your toes aren't clawing into the ball. We want them to be long and strong. So I'm going to look at mine too. Yeah. That feels good to me. I hope it feels good to you and not like weird. Go ahead and relax that effort and rock walk one last time here before we switch to fourth and fifth toes. And step the left foot back. Peel your foot up off the ball. Does it maybe feel like your toes are going to stay in that shape for the rest of your life? Kind of does for me. Okay, so fourth and fifth toes on the ball. Everybody else is hanging out off to the side. If they will go, they might not go. Just do the best you can. So if you feel a good stretch here, hang out. If you want a little bit more stretch, we're gonna start to take the left foot forward a little bit at a time. Ooh, that's a big stretch. Okay. And now, just trying to use your 4th and 5th toes. You press just your 4th and 5th toes into the ball, keeping the other toes relaxed. And release that. And rock walk. And again, 4th and 5th toes, press into the ball. Look down at your toes this time. Make sure they're not clawing into the ball. Long and strong. Oh, it's so hard not to press the other toes down too. And relax. And rock walk. Okay, and then let's step the left foot back. Peel your foot off the ball. Woo! How do your feet feel? Figure it out. Okay. So we've done a lot to the bottom of the foot. Let's do a little bit to the top of the foot now. So you still need the ball, and we'll switch back to the left foot. And this one really does challenge my balance, so I'm definitely going to be holding on to the chair. You can do the chair or the wall. So you're going to really stand on the ball here. My heel is down on my left foot, and I'm taking as much pressure as I feel like I can. And now this is another really good reason to have a soft ball, and not a softball like the sport softball, but a ball that is soft. Because if you're using a ball that's too hard, this might be a little too intense, and we don't want that right now. So you're standing and you're letting your foot drape over the ball, getting all those tiny joints in your feet mobilizing. And you're gonna take your other foot, so my right foot is gonna come with the ball of my foot. It's just gonna sit on the skin of my left foot, the skin on the top of my left foot. And without sliding over my skin, I'm kind of hooking into my skin, and then I'm just gonna drag my skin. So the motion is my right foot is moving towards you right now, towards the camera. And so I'm gonna do that a few times. I'm kind of using my hand to mimic the motion of my foot. And then we can go off to the other side, to the left, kind of dragging the tissue down and to the left. And then you can go to the right, dragging the tissue over to the right. Okay. And put your right foot down. Step your left foot off the ball. Feel, take a deep breath. Ooh, that feels good. Let's do the other foot. So you're gonna situate your right foot on the ball. The heel is on the ground, your right heel is on the ground, and you're gonna step your left foot on top of your right foot. So you're using the ball point of your foot and kind of your toes a little bit too. And you're just gonna rest it there at first. And this is gonna give your foot the opportunity to kind of hook into the tissue of your right foot. And then you can drag your skin kind of away from your body. So I'm moving my right hand like I'm moving my foot. And so I'm not just rubbing my right foot with my left foot. I'm really just doing this kind of a tug, a drag feeling. And then you can drag to the left. And there's lots of real estate on your foot, so you don't have to stay in one spot. And go over to the right. For some reason, this is really hard for me right now. And release. Put your left foot on the ground and take a moment to feel. Take a deep breath. Okay, now we're going to put the ball off to the side. I'm going to hope that it stays situated back there behind my blanket. And I'm going to move the chair just a little bit. Your balance still might feel challenged, so having the chair nearby and the wall again is going to be helpful. So this is the top of the foot stretch. You can do this standing or seated. I prefer to do it standing. So I'm going to start by taking my right foot back behind me and I'm curling my toes under so that the toenails and the knuckles of my toes are on the ground. Now, if you feel a good stretch here on the top of your foot, on the front of your shin, great, hang out there. If you don't feel much of a stretch or you want to feel more of a stretch, there's a few things that you can try. So one thing is to isometrically drag this right foot forward. So because you're on a sticky mat, your foot's not really going to move. But if you tried this with socks on the hardwood floor, then your leg would be going that way. You can play around with the distance between your feet. So it's going to be a little bit more intense if you step your right foot back further. And you can even then too drag the foot forward. You can play around with bending that back knee, going slowly, feeling it out. And sometimes I like to twist my hips a little bit so that I feel the compression of the floor on those foot joints from side to side in a little bit different of a way. And then taking the weight into your left foot, step your right foot forward. Take a full breath in and out. Step your left foot back and curl the toes under so you've got the toenails touching the ground, the knuckles of the toes touching the ground. And if this feels like a great stretch, cool, hang out. If you want more stretch sensation, you can play around with isometrically dragging that left foot forward. You can also play around with stepping the left foot back. I think I said the wrong side just a moment ago. And again, left foot drags forward if you want that isometric movement. You can maybe bend your knee and back, maybe not. Play around, just explore and see how does that change the sensation? How does that change my experience of the feeling? You can also kind of swivel your hips a little bit from side to side and feel how that changes the pressure. Moving slowly and with attention. And then taking your weight back into your right foot, step your left foot forward. Both feet on the ground. Take a deep breath in and out. We're going to grab the half dome foam roller now. So if you don't have the half dome, you're going to want to have a blanket that you can roll up. Okay, so you can use a rolled blanket or you can use your half dome. And I'm going to move the chair just a bit out of the way. Calf stretch time. So we've worked the sole of the foot, the top of the foot, the front of the ankle, the front of the shin somewhat, and now let's go to the calf and the back of the leg. So step the ball of your right foot up onto the half dome so your heel is on the ground. And now, depending on you and your body and your habits, this might feel like a good enough stretch. If you don't feel much of a stretch sensation or you want to feel more stretch sensation, then you can slowly step your left foot forward, little by little. until you feel a good stretch. And the stretch is nice and feels good, but there is something more going on here than just feeling the stretch. We're giving ourselves a little mechanical uphill. A lot of the time, we're giving our bodies a mechanical downhill. If you're wearing shoes that have a heel, even some gym shoes, the heel sits higher than the ball of the foot. So it's not all about feeling a super intense or a deep stretch, but just putting your foot in this position and your ankle in this position is beneficial to your body. So you can look down at the front of your ankle and maybe you can see if there's, are you gripping at the front of your ankle? Are you actively like trying to use those muscles to pull your foot into this position? And if so, can you just relax that? Can you let that go? Like I said, I like to keep my half dome in the kitchen. So I'll tell you about that in just a second. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So step your left foot back if it was forward. And then we're going to go to the other side. So the ball of the left foot is on the blanket or the half dome. The heel is on the ground. The toes are relaxed for now. And then you can slowly start to step your right foot forward any amount, pausing as you go to check in. Okay, relaxing into the shape. So like I said, I keep this half dome in my kitchen. I keep it like slightly pushed under the cabinets. It still sticks out a little bit, drives my husband crazy, trips on it all the time. But I get some calf stretch in while I am chopping vegetables or doing the dishes or just waiting for my smoothie to blend or my tea kettle to boil. It's great. Go ahead and step your right foot back if it was forward. Come off the half dome. We're going to do it again, one more time on each side. So let's step the right foot back onto the foam roller or the blanket. And we're going to play around a little bit. So come to your happy stance, wherever you need your left foot to be. Now I want you to bring your attention to your rib cage. So notice if you have the tendency to stand kind of with your ribs thrusted forward. Maybe you think this is good posture or you're trying to keep your chest open. For the purposes of this exercise, you're actually giving slack to the muscles back there. And that's maybe not as productive as it could be. So temper that rib thrust so that your rib cage kind of shines straight down over top of your pelvis. Okay. And you can also play around with your kneecap. Notice if you're contracting your quadriceps, the muscles on the front of the thigh, that's going to lift your kneecap up. Can you let your kneecap relax down? Can you relax your toes? And maybe, just maybe, you can add a little hip hinge if you're feeling good. You can start to hinge your upper body forward. So not from your spine, but by creasing your hips. And notice how that changes the sensation here. And come back upright. Slowly step your left foot back. Both feet on the ground. Take a full breath in and out. Switcheroo. So let's do the left foot now. The ball of the left foot is on the half dome or the blanket. Heel is on the ground, and you're going to find your happy stance by stepping your right foot forward any amount, checking in as you go. And then as you get there, checking in with a few other things in the body. So first of all, where's my rib cage? Am I thrusting my ribs forward and up? If so, can I bring my rib cage down? And it might feel like you're kind of like this. It might feel like this is bad posture, but really this is more the truth of where your spine is. And so you might also think, oh, well, when I drop my ribs, my midsection doesn't look quite as camera ready as it does if I am lifting my rib cage. That's something that you have to think about and love on. Maybe love your tummy for a minute. Okay, and then bring your attention to your kneecap and your thigh, your left thigh. Those muscles on the front, are they contracted? Are they picking your kneecap up? And if so, can you relax those muscles and let your kneecap release towards the ground? Can you relax your toes? And then maybe you feel like you're in a good spot for a hip hinge. So creasing the fronts of the hips right here. With a long spine, can you lean forward any amount? And what does that do to the sensation in your left leg and calf? And come back upright. And step your right foot back and your left foot back. Take a full breath in and out. I always feel taller after I do calf stretch. Maybe you do too. Let me know. Okay, let's get the foam roller out of the way. We're going to need the block and the ball right now. We're going to give some attention to the muscles on our shin. So you might be really acquainted with your shin bone, but if you feel your shin bone and then, so I'm feeling my right shin. If I go to the right side of my shin bone, there's squishy muscle there, okay? And this is like the region where you might feel shin splints. And so this is the region that we're gonna be focusing on with the therapy ball next. So let's come down to the ground. So I'm gonna make a platform for my shin with my block. I've got it on the low setting. And then I'm going to put the ball right to the outside of my shin. So before you bear weight on it, let's just feel it and find it. Put the ball on your shin bone, kind of up towards your knee, but not on your knee. And then let your ball slide off to the right into that muscle bed. Okay, that's what we're gonna do here too. So coming into an all fours position, you can find the shin bone and then let your shin bone slide to the side of the ball so that the ball is nestled in your muscle. Coming into an all fours position here. Having our shin elevated on the block gives us room to move the foot here and kind of tease out some tension there on the front of the shin. So you can play around with pointing and flexing. You might not feel a whole lot there. If you want to feel more sensation, you should feel the muscle moving against the pressure of the ball. You can start to circle your ankle. And then let's go ahead and pause there. And let's move the ball a little bit further down. So maybe like mid shin. Again, as you place the shin on the ball, you're going to find the bone and then roll kind of off to the side of the bone. And if you want more pressure, you're just going to lean your body over to the right. If you want less pressure, stay over to the left a little bit. It can be a little tricky to find the spot, so play around with it as needed. And once you find a good spot and you feel like you're pinned there, you're hooked there, then you can start adding some foot movement. And feel how the muscle moves under the pressure of the ball, or in this case, on top of the pressure of the ball. And release. Hope you don't lose your ball. Let's go over to the other leg now. So switch your block over to the other side, and working on the left side now. Again, maybe before you get into the all fours position where you're bearing weight, you just first feel with your fingers and locate your shin bone and feel the squishy muscle to the left side of your shin bone. That's where we're going to be working with the ball. So get situated here in kind of an all fours position with the ball touching the shin bone, and then let the shin bone slide off to the side so that the ball is really contacting the muscle and not the bone as much. After you've taken a breath or two there, go ahead and bring some ankle and foot movement into it. So you can just flex and point to start. If that feels good but you want more, do some ankle circles. If you have a really long foot, you might need to stack 2 blocks on top of each other so that you have room for your foot to move. You could also do this. We're going to move to a different spot on the shin. You could also do this on the chair. Depending on how wide or how long deep is the word, depending on how long or how deep the chair is, the seat of the chair is, you can let your foot hang off the back and you can hold on to the seat. And that'll give you a little bit more room to circle. I do find that I can't get quite as much pressure here, and maybe that's good for you. Okay. Go ahead and rock off of your block and your ball, and you can put those off to the side for now. Let's go ahead and stand up, and you will need your chair at this point. So I'm going to bring it back. So this is a double calf stretch. So you're going to stand with your feet hip bone distance apart. Find your bony hip points. And you want to be able to point straight down into the center of your foot there. Keep your feet parallel. And you're going to hinge from your hips, so not bending from your spine, hinging from your hips. And you can rest your hands on the chair seat, or if that feels like it's too far down, turn the chair around or go to the other side and put your hands on the back of the chair instead. So here, just like we did in the calf stretch, make sure your ribs aren't hanging down. So that would be the same thing as this in the single leg calf stretch. So you want to let your rib cage come in, and then paying attention here to the fronts of the thighs and the kneecaps. Can you relax your kneecaps down towards the ground, relaxing the fronts of the thighs? And so here, bring your attention to the pelvis. And if you have any room to tilt your pelvis up towards the ceiling, kind of lifting your tailbone up towards the ceiling, that's what we want to do. Take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, if you'd like to bend your knees before you lift your torso up, you may. And stand up. Okay, I'm gonna turn the chair around so that I can use the back of the chair for balance, because I'm not confident that I can do this without falling over and tell you about it at the same time. So you are gonna need your half dome or your rolled blanket for this. This is also something that you can do with your heels hanging off of a step, just as long as you have something to hold on to, because I would hate for somebody to fall backwards down the steps. So this time you're gonna put both of your feet on the foam roller or the blanket at the same time, okay? And the tendency might be to kind of move your pelvis in a funky way. So try to keep your pelvis over your ankles if you can. And now, let's see, can you pick your heels up off the ground? See, can you do it without shifting your pelvis forward? Maybe a little bit. If you're trying this and you notice, oh, I really have to shift my pelvis forward to make this happen, then let's have you step off of the half dome or the foam roller, and you try this just flat-footed on the ground. So you can, again, try keeping your hips, your pelvis over your heels, and lift your heels up off the ground and lower back down. So you can be doing this with your balls of your feet on the half dome or the rolled blanket, or you can be doing this just flat. Some things to consider while you're playing around here. Are your toes gripping into the ground? Can you, even when you're lifted up onto the balls of your feet, can you still lift your toes? Now you might not be able to slide a piece of paper under your toes, but they're just not gripping into the ground. Another thing to pay attention to is the ankles. So if you look at my ankles, I'm right now kind of winging my ankles out to the side to lift up. Some people might wing their ankles into the inside as you get up. Can you let your ankles ride the elevator straight up and down? Ooh, it's a little trickier. And keeping your toes loosey-goosey. And not thrusting your rib cage. And not shifting your pelvis forward. So that's a lot of alignment considerations. Do what you can. If you can only focus on keeping your toes relaxed, focus on that. If you can only focus on keeping your pelvis over your ankles, focus on that. If you can only focus on letting your ankles move straight up and down and keeping them steady in an elevator, then focus on that. Once you feel like you've mastered one thing, then maybe you can layer on another level of attention. And we're gonna finish now. You can lower down. We're gonna finish now with one more double calf stretch. So I'm gonna turn my chair around. Feet hip bone distance apart and parallel, hinging from the hips, tempering the ribs, relaxing the thighs and the kneecaps. And then while you're here, bend your knees as far as you can while still keeping your heels on the ground. Toes relaxed. And go ahead and stand up. How do your feet feel? Hopefully they feel supple and strong, and you feel stable and grounded and ready to go about the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.